All right, good evening, everybody. It's so wonderful to be back here on Mussar Mondays, live from the Torch Center. We are deeply grateful for everyone who came out here tonight, notwithstanding the inclement weather, the cold, freezing cold, 50 degrees outside. It's crazy, right? The people in New York are laughing. They're like, 50 degrees? You think that's bad, right? Either way, last week we discussed one of the terrible casualties that happen from levity, from laughter. When people mock other people, when people mock situations, they can't take things seriously, they can't bring God into their life. It's very hard for them to have a spiritual experience when they're busy laughing people off. It's a very, very important lesson that the Ramchal here in Mesilat Yesharim that he shares with us. Do you need a copy? There's a copy over there on the bottom shelf.
I forgot to bring it. That's okay.
You can use that one. Okay. Okay, so the third is keeping bad company. What's the third category of people that are not able to really get this vigilance, to get this presence of God in their lives, to get this connection that they really desire? People who keep bad company. V'hamafsida shlishi, in the bottom left, you have it, page 107. V'hamafsida shlishi hu hachevra. The third factor that undermines zihirut, vigilance, watchfulness, caution, is keeping bad company. Dehainu chevras hatipshu v'achotim. That is the company of fools and sinners, and thus exposing oneself to their bad influence. V'hu ma she'akasu v'omer. V'roa k'silim yeroa. This is the intention of what Scripture states in Proverbs. One who befriends fools will be broken. What does that mean? For indeed we see many times afilu achar shenis ames etzel ha'adam chovas ha'avoda v'azihirus ba, that even after a person truly recognizes the obligation of the divine service and the zihirus needed for it. Okay, so even after a person truly recognizes the obligation of the divine service and the watchfulness or vigilance that is needed for it, Yisrapim, a person will become lax about it, or Ya'avor al Eze Devorim Mimeno, or transgress some of its rules, Kedei Shelo Yilagu Olav Chavirov, so that his friends won't laugh at him. So if someone has bad company, bad friends, what's going to happen? What might happen is, now I'm going to be embarrassed to do the right thing because my friends are going to laugh at me. They're going to mock it. They're going to mock me, right? They're going to say, "Oh, look at that guy. He decided to." Oh, it's like the story I told you numerous times about Rabbi Uri Zohar. When Rabbi Uri Zohar was beginning his journey of teshuvah, of repentance, and becoming a more God-fearing Jew. So when he came back to the studio, he was a television extraordinaire. An unbelievable actor in Israel and a comedian, and they thought when he walked in with his tzitzit the first time, they thought it was part of his next routine. Like, what show, what movie actor are you playing? What role are you playing that you're now preparing to act with your tzitzit and a kippah? And they were all laughing at him. They thought it was like the funniest thing in the world. And he said, no, this is for real. And they thought that was also part of his routine. They thought it's like, no, wow, look at this guy, he's hysterical, right? And until they realized that he was for real. But either way, when someone's in a negative environment, it's very hard to stand up for what's right. It's very, very difficult to stand up for what's right. Ya'avor al eze dvar mimenu, or transgress some of its rules, the rules of the Torah, kedei shelo yilagu olav chaverov, just so that his friends will not laugh at him. Or he'll neglect those responsibilities, those mitzvahs, just so that they'll accept him. So he'll be one of them. He dresses like them now. He talks like them now. He acts like them now. So now he's one of them. And what does he do in the process? He neglects his relationship with Hashem, and he distances himself from all connection. And this is what Shlomo HaMelech warned about, saying in, where does he say this? He says this in also Proverbs 24:21. Im shonim al titarev. With dissenters, do not mingle. Having established the need to avoid negative social influences, Ramchal addresses an apparent contradiction to this principle. Ki'im yomar lecha adam. Now, if someone will say to you, La'olam tehei dato shel adam u'revesim rabbiyos, it says in the Talmud that a person's mind should always be integrated with society, meaning, right? Meaning that you should always be interacting, you should always be social, you should always be accepted by the culture. And now, here's this person who is integrating with the culture, and Ramchal is telling us, no, don't do that. Why? So that doesn't cause you to distance yourself from Hashem, particularly when you have bad company, when you have people who are a negative influence. Does this mean that one should always socialize with those around him? Af ata amorlo, you too should say to him, in what context are these words stated? Bivnei adam she'osim maaseh adam. They are stated regarding people who perform the deeds fitting for a man. Ach lo bivnei adam she'osim maaseh behema, but not regarding people who perform deeds as beasts, deeds of beasts. Right? What is that? That they just follow the flow. To be very careful about this. Are we people who are ready to fight the trend? Are we ready to fight the trend? I'll give you an example. Halacha tells us that how do we check a fowl to determine whether or not it has a blemish? Okay, so before they slaughter an animal, just step back a little, right? Before we slaughter an animal, you have to make sure that that animal doesn't have any blemish. After they slaughter the animal, they also check it internally to check that, particularly with beasts, with a cow, with a sheep, right? They check to ensure that it didn't have any blemishes, internal blemishes. So for chickens and ducks and things like that, other fowl that are kosher, how do they check them? What they do is they either walk with it a little bit, or they put it in the water and they make it swim against the current. Against the current. Because if it has like a broken leg, it won't be able to swim, it'll just go with the flow. But if it's strong enough, it'll be able to fight the current, and it'll be able to go the opposite direction. Our sages tell us a Jew is checked the same way. You want to know what a kosher Jew is?
Yeah.
One who's able to fight the current. One who doesn't just go with the flow. Particularly when the people are going against the ways of Hashem, we have to stand up against the current. I remember an individual, a dear friend of mine. So at work, it's not customary, but it's been common in previous generations for sure, that when people would go to work, they would take off their kippah. The religious Jews would take off their kippah. They'd go to Manhattan. They didn't want people to identify them as being Jewish. They would know maybe that they're jewelers. They'd know that they're, so they took off their kippah so that they blend in. They don't stand out as a sore thumb. In recent generations, it's become less and less common, and people who are Shomer Shabbos, people who are Torah observant, don't walk around without the kippah, without their head covered. Either way, there was an individual who lived here in Houston, who I knew very, very well, who would go to work and in his own company, as the CEO of the company, he would walk around without a kippah in his own office. As soon as he left the office, he'd put the kippah back on and go home. Until one day, he sent out an email to his workers, many, many workers, and he said to them, you know something? You all know that I'm a Jew. I need to tell you something that you may not know. I'm a Torah observant Jew. And as a Torah observant Jew, I'm proud to be a servant of God. And therefore, from today on, I will be proudly wearing my kippah on my head. It's a big step. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of work for someone to be able to overcome that challenge. Imagine until now, it's like, oh, David, I know David. David's a normal guy. He's a regular. He's one of us. Suddenly, he shows up with the kippah on it. What happened? You coming from a funeral? Did someone die? Like, well, what's going on? Like, well, why are you wearing a kippah, right? Right? Well, I'm wearing it because I'm a proud Jew. Oh, another one, right? And they start laughing and they start mocking. Ramchal says, be very careful who your audience is. Be careful who your crowd is. That you shouldn't associate yourself with people who are disparaging of your spirituality, who are disparaging, right? And it is such an important key to growth, to spiritual growth, because you can have certain practices and you want to change them. But sometimes we're entitled to change. Oh, suddenly you're holier than us.
So
right? Yeah.
If you don't, so if you didn't want to wear that kippah, you could wear a ball cap, couldn't you, instead of it? And
Right, and there are many.
doing the same thing.
It's funny. I'll tell you a story. Is someone I know who's a very, very brilliant individual, and he comes from a Hasidic background. Hasidic, I mean, he has long curly payas, side locks. His head is mostly clear of all here, except for his side locks. Right, real Hasidic. He wears a long coat. He has a big yarmulke. Wears a hat. Right, the whole deal. He's brilliant. He went to law school. He's like the top of his class. Graduated. At absolute with all the honors and everything. So he goes to one of the real prestigious law firms for an interview, and they're like blown away. This guy's a genius. He's unbelievable. We got to hire him. But they have a problem, the way he looks. So during the interview, they said, we're really impressed with your resume. We're really impressed with you. But what's with the kippah? What's with the yarmulke? I mean, we have many clients from all different backgrounds. We don't want them to feel uncomfortable. So he takes off his kippah. He says, is this going to help? It's not going to help. With the side locks and everything and the big beard, it's not going to help taking off, right? So sometimes, there's certain things that we feel limited. We feel like, take it with pride. And that pride is contagious. That pride is contagious when people see that you have a love for something, you have a joy from something. They're like, I want in on this, right? I want in this, and I feel the same, by the way, in any mitzvah that you do. You do kosher, do it with pride. Don't like, oh well, I don't know, my wife is making me eat this kosher food, no more Burger King, Do it with pride, and when people come to your house, you're like, well, what can I do? My wife, she said, she's killing me to start keeping kosher, and it's like. Instead, there's another approach. You know what? We're proud to keep kosher. It's an honor. It's a privilege to eat kosher. And we're so excited about this, right? You know what that does to those people? Maybe I should keep kosher too. And now you double in your investment because it's not only your kosher, it's their kosher too. Right? Think of another thing. Synagogue. Oh, well, I have to go. It's a bar mitzvah. Or you can go, I'm very excited. I have an opportunity to go. It's the same mitzvah you're doing. You might as well have the energy and the excitement. Have the enthusiasm. You're doing the same mitzvah. Same thing with charity. Some people give charity. It's like, well, what can I do? I say, okay, they're kvetching. They're telling me how much they need this donation, so I'll do it. Or you could do it. You know what? Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for giving me the chance to be a partner in such a great cause. Like Torch, of course. Right? So, of course, right. So, it's all a matter of perspective, and we have to really, really be conscientious about this. Is that you know what? I say live life to the fullest. If you're doing it, do it. If you're not doing it, don't do it. But don't do it in kvetch. Because then you're not doing anything. Essentially, it's like, right? You either do it or don't do it. Right? I feel the same way about Shabbos, the same way about every mitzvah. Right? There are many, many, many opportunities for us to kvetch. And there are even more opportunities for us to say, we're the luckiest people in the world. Asher Bachar Banu Mikolim. God chose us from all the other nations. How lucky, how fortunate I am that I can buy kosher food, pay more money for it, and be happy. Right? A little bit of a paradigm shift here. A little bit of an adjustment. David, what do you think? You're comfortable with this or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are. Okay, great. I'm proud.
I don't say anything.
That's great. No. I'm not.
Do I say anything?
I'm not suggesting that you do. I'm just saying that it's all it is perspective. You know what? I'll tell you an amazing thing. To our friends online, this will be something special. Okay, I'm telling you, this is really
They don't know
special.
who David is.
Nobody knows. Okay. If you take the word oneg, which means joy, pleasure, and you take the word nega, which means plague, it's the same exact letters. It's the nun, the gimel, and the ayin, and it's just rearranged. It becomes oneg, ayin, nun, gimel. It's the same exact letters. What does it make a difference if it's a nega, which means a plague, or an oneg, a delight? You know the difference?
How do you interpret it?
Where you put the ayin. The letter ayin, it means your eye also. How do you look at it?
Yeah.
If you look at it with the right perspective, it becomes a delight. If you put the eye in, if you put the eye in the other place, you know what becomes of it? It becomes a nega. It becomes a plague for you. And there's no joy, and there's no delight, and there's no excitement. So it's the same mitzvah, the same exact performance, but just changing the way we see it. Changing how we look at it, the eye. And it becomes from a plague. Well, it used to be like, oy. You know, I'll give you an example. So most people think, and we've discussed this before, most people think that money is everything. So it really bothers them when kosher food costs more, right? Perspective. Again, we're going to talk about perspective. So are you kidding? It costs me $2 a pound more for kosher meat than non-kosher meat? Oh, the rabbis. It's the rabbis. And the rabbis are known to be very, very wealthy, right? So it's because of this, because of the right. It's because of the rabbi tax, right?
The rabbi tax?
Yeah. You know what I mean. It's like they think that the rabbis. I was with my wife in San Antonio a few weeks ago, and we walked into an ice cream store. It was they make like their homemade ice cream over there in the store. So we went in and we said, maybe there's a chance that it's kosher. So we went in and we said, we're sorry to bother you. I know you're busy, but would you by any chance know if this facility is kosher? So the lady looks and she says, I don't recall having any rabbis come in here and bless the food, right? And to many people, that's what they think kosher is. It's blessing the food. Wrong. Right? It's making sure that every ingredient that goes in there is worthy to be in your body.
From that comment, you knew for a fact it wasn't kosher.
Oh, for in a second. But they said they also make it right there. So I said, for sure, it's not. But either way. But let me tell you the different perspective. So I'm going to be Mr. Doctor, and I'm going to tell you organic food, it's much healthier. Much healthier. So now we're going to open up a store called Whole Foods, and we're going to charge you for a bottle of water like this, the same bottle, but it's going to say Whole Foods on it. Instead of it costing 20 cents or 6 cents for a bottle of water, you know how much it's going to cost you? It's going to cost you $2.50 because it says organic Whole Foods water. Right? And you know what else? The doctor said it could be healthier. Oh, the doctor said it could be healthier. We better buy it because, we really want to live our lives, right? So all it is a perspective, right? The doctor said it's healthier. But when God tells us in His Torah, in His manual for living, and He tells us, you know what? Take this water that is healthy, right? And by the way, this water is even kosher. You know why it's kosher?
Because of the plastic it's in?
No. It's kosher because if you want to know how the process works, you might never buy this again. What they do is they take out from the water, they take out all of the minerals that are in it, and then they put in the minerals back again according to their measurements. So that all the water, wherever it is, wherever it comes from, because this is probably packaged in Texas, in a facility here in Texas, and then you have a facility in each state, and they want the water to have equal, exact same taste. So what they do is they put the minerals back in. So you need to make sure that all of those minerals are actually indeed kosher. So what they do is, right, they check everything. They check to make sure that everything is kosher. Rabbi ensures that every ingredient, that the chicken that you're buying when it says kosher, it means this chicken didn't have any cancer. This chicken didn't have a hole in its lungs. This chicken wasn't unhealthy in any way. It was perfectly healthy. And you get a perfect, beautiful chicken so that what you put into your body, that will soon become part of your flesh, is pristine, is perfect. And you don't want an animal that has had illnesses, and you don't want an animal that's had plagues, and you don't want an animal that's had cancer. I actually was at a kosher slaughtering, and the rabbi calls me over, and I don't like this stuff really so much. It's a little gory, and not for me. Either way, so the rabbi says, here, to put this glove on. I put a glove on, and he says, feel inside the animal. Feel, right? This after the animal's slaughtered. You feel inside, and you feel like you're like going into these spider webs. I said, what is that? He says, that's cancer growing inside this animal. That's why this animal's not kosher. Now, Purdue will have no problem selling it, right? And Tyson will have no problem selling it, but it will not go on the kosher meat shelf. You know why? Because after slaughtering it, we check it to ensure this animal doesn't have any blemish. And if it has a blemish, like illness, it's not good enough to feed us. But no doctor said it's healthier, so then we don't listen. So then we'll kvetch about the $2 extra when it's kosher, but we won't kvetch over the $25 extra when it's Whole Foods.
Rabbi, I got a
Yes.
question. So, the Torah just says the certain animals are unclean to you. You don't eat them. Okay?
Right.
Where does it specify what kind of kosher it needs to be? Where does that?
What do you mean? What kind of kosher?
In other words, not only is it kosher, it's clean to you, but it's also checked. Where does that come from?
So the Torah tells us exactly that we derive it from the verses of the Torah. When the Torah says certain things, for example, I can just give you one quick example. It says that you should not mix
I got that one.
milk and meat, right, together, right?
So where does
One second.
Okay.
It says it 3 times.
Right.
Why does it say it 3 times?
That's how you learn it. If it's-
No. It says, and 1 time would be enough. It would be sufficient. Why does he need to tell us 3 times? Torah doesn't waste words. Why does the Torah repeat it again and say it 3 times?
He wants to emphasize?
No, it's to tell you 3 different things. Number 1 is you can't eat it. Number 2 is you can't cook it. And number 3 is you can't benefit from it. Right? So that's why the Torah tells you 3 separate times. Do not cook a calf in the milk of its mother, right? In many ways to understand why it says it like that, right? But the very basic understanding of that is 3 fundamental principles. We don't eat it, we don't cook it, and we don't benefit from it. It means you can't sell it. You can't go to McDonald's, buy a cheeseburger, and make $10 on it, sell it to someone else, right? Can't benefit from it either. So that's why the Torah says it. The Torah says it like that. And we learn, everything we learn has to be sourced in the Torah.
Biblical times, okay? We understand that these animals are unclean to us. We don't eat them.
Correct.
How do we know? When did they start the inspection of the animal to see if it was not diseased and uproar? When did that start?
Again, the Torah tells us all that.
I never read that.
You read it in Leviticus 9.
Okay.
Right? The Torah tells us that it all has to be derived. That's why we need the Talmud. The Talmud is the explanation of the manual. Right? Mm-hmm. You ever open up a brand new phone, right? So when you open up the phone, it gives you all these tips. It tells you what to do and how to find your contacts and how to edit them. And it's like, okay, next, and then it's like a whole tutorial. The next why?
It has specific ways of doing it.
Because they want you to enjoy that phone. If you don't enjoy that phone, you're going to be going back to the iPhone store, to the iStore, whatever they call that, right? The Mac store, and return it. So they want you to have a good experience so that you can enjoy it. God gives us a life, and He wants us to enjoy it. So He gives us a manual called the Torah. And that Torah gives us step by step how to maximize pleasure in this life that we're living. Because if we don't, then you have people who say, "What's going on here? This is craziness. What's that? I'm depressed. It's like life is miserable. It's so difficult, right? Because again, our perspective could be limiting us from enjoying it. That's what the Torah is there for. The Torah is there to give us all of the tools we need to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're good on this?
Do you understand?
Well,
You got it?
I don't.
David, you don't get it.
Well, it's like a chicken, right? Now, The chicken's clean. We can eat chicken. When did we find out that we had to inspect that chicken before we ate it?
Right, again, so the Torah tells us all of that. The Torah tells us all
In
of that.
Leviticus it says that?
Yes, and our sages, again, in halacha, teach us, go through all of these details,
Okay.
and they learn it out from different parts of the verse. Why does it say it like this, and why does it say it like that? Each one teaching us the next level. Number one, it has to be slaughtered in a certain way. Number two is that it has to be washed in a certain way, and salted in a certain way, and checked in a certain way.
And that you learn that in the Talmud.
In the Talmud, correct. Right? Now the Talmud doesn't make up things. You have to remember that. The Talmud doesn't have any right to make up any single law.
Okay.
No, it has no rights in the world to do that. The Torah, what's the matter?
No, nothing, man.
You
The
good?
oral Torah. It's the oral Torah, right? It's the explanation of the oral.
The oral Torah is
Talmud.
explaining, right, the Talmud is the oral Torah,
Yeah.
which explains the written Torah. That's what it is. The Talmud is not, they can't arbitrarily add any law that's not written in the Torah. Oh, we decided we want to make Howard's life miserable, so we're going to add some laws today. Right? No, that's not the way it works. Right? It has to be
Yeah,
already,
you've said
okay?
many times to us.
Okay. So therefore he says here, having established the need to avoid negative social influences, Ramchal addresses an apparent contradiction. The principle, ki im yomar lecha adam. Now if someone were to say to you, or we've said this before, that a person's mind should always be integrated with society, does this not mean that one should always socialize with those around him? Why are we saying that he shouldn't? Morlo, you too should say to him, in what context are these words stated? They are stated regarding people who perform the deeds fitting for a man. However, but not regarding people who perform deeds of beasts. What does it mean, deeds of beasts? They just go with the flow. That they don't stand up for themselves. That they're just, like a sheep. A sheep goes. You know how a herd goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
They follow
the leader.
The leader.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the leader does, that's what they do. Right? And that's why you have shepherd dogs. They go out because they continue going and they go and they go. The dog follows their smell and rings them all back. All right, so we're going to stop here the Mussar Monday section of our class, and we're going to continue with the breakneck through the Bible part of the class. And I look forward to continuing next week, God willing. And we are up to page 109 for next week. I look forward to it. Thank you, everybody. Have a terrific evening.
Thank you so much.
And be blessed, everyone. Don't forget to be safe and cover those plants and those pipes. Okay, it's going to get freezing cold. It's going to be like 50 degrees. Be careful.
Very cool.